Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the next presentation. The next presentation, I'm not going to repeat the whole name of the presentation, otherwise I break my tongue, which you can see. But most importantly, I want to point out, first of all, I'm Otto Neuer, I'm from Talent. And the next use case, the next presentation is in particular about using the Talent product in a particular environment. So to give you a very quick intro who we are, Talent, maybe some of you are already using our product. Maybe some of you have already had the chance to stop by at our booth. Basically, we are an open source product for data integration. So, and a company now with almost 800 people who have to pay their rental and to feed their families. We are also having now an open core product, which is the commercial product of the Talent Open Studio. And this next use case is about Talent Data Fabric, which is our enterprise product, which contains all the enterprise capabilities that you need to have if you want to roll out and use Talent data integration on an enterprise scale. So I'm very pleased to open and to kick off this presentation. I'm very pleased insofar because it's a very good example about a customer of Talent working together with a partner of ours. So I would like to introduce our customer first. So Frank Hemmers from Hermes Arzneimittel, which is basically pharma for the non-German speaking people, and Christian Poecher from our partner QuinScape. And I do think the use case is going back to an initiative more than a year ago, where in Hermes Pharma, Industry 4.0 came up as a topic, and the company wanted really to go after this initiative and kick something off. And then, as a side effect, as a side trigger, some regulatories took place. So the company was confronted and had to comply with very tough regulatories coming from the German pharma law. And then they have initiated a project that they are going to tell us today. What were the learnings? What were the outcomes? Did they achieve their goals? So I'm very much looking forward to hear how this project went. And I do think we will have some time afterwards to address one or the other questions that you may have. And then, gentlemen, the audience is yours.
So, thanks a lot. Short introduction about Hermes. What we are old school, we are old economy, we are around about more than 100 years old. And we meet the new economy, QuinScape, with Talent. So, some words about Hermes. We have over 13,000 customers in more than 60 countries, and we have a family ownership for more than 100 years, and we are around about 800 employees in Germany and in Austria. We are placed. The deliveries we make is nearly to the whole world, mostly in Europe. I think it's not so very interesting for you where we are, so it's more what we are doing. Our companies, and you see we are old. We have a castle. It's for you on the right side. It's called also castle. Our products, and these are our divisions. The division OTC made products for the pharmacies. Our own products, it's more in the area of health, and there you can see some products with vitamins especially. The other division is Hermes Pharma. There we are development and production in other dosage forms. Our marketing say oral dosage forms. So if you have to drink something with our tablets, that means oral. And also we have a tea production, but also very, very old school. That's the market we are in. And also we have the time or the problems. We are in the food market. Is everyone else in the food or pharmacy market? Who knows more about GMP? Okay. GMP means you have to produce paper. That's the P. Now it's a good manufacturing process means, but for me it's every time a paper thing. And we are in Germany. I'm more than 5 years now at Hammers. You need a pencil and it needs to be blue. Not black, not yellow, not red, blue. Why?
Unfortunately, I have to deal more with the FDA.
But it's nearly the laws are so old. The copy machines in the good old times were only black and white. So then you identify blue, it was not a copy. It's not a joke. So we start with the regulatories. Our production is based on a German law for drugs. Very big book. Next step is how we are allowed to produce based on this law. It's called, who want to tell it? Arzneimittel- und Wirkstoffherstellungsverordnung. So complex the word, so complex is the book. Then we have the EU guidelines, and these are times made before the European Union, also before the European Union. Next step was the GMP guidelines. There's more explained about how you produce, how you can good manufacture products. And now we one step more to the basics. There is an annex called Description of the Requirements for Validation and Qualification. That means every time when we are producing something from the scratch to the tablet, each step we have to document. So in the annex there are several chapters inside, and I never read all of them. One of these chapters is chapter 5, the process validation. And that means for us, we have to enable a successful process and a robust development process in place that we are allowed to produce tablets, for example. So we needed a continuous process verification, normally once a year in the last time it was. So in the beginning of 2014, for example, we looked what happened in 2013. What reports we have, is there anything we have to change? It's not longer acceptable what we did there. So the ongoing process verification is now the tool we have to work with. That means on each moment of the life cycle of the pill, we have to know how we produced it. It's horrible. So, but I'm the IT guy. I'm not in the working areas. So we have two factories, one in Wolfratshausen, that's close to Munich, not so far away, and in Wolfsberg in Austria. I'm sometimes there because it's only 1 hour to Italy. We have several product lines there in place, unfortunately from different product lines from several deliverers. We have 2 process control systems. We have different called in-process control. So when we produce, sometimes one of the guys from the machine have to pick up a tablet, have to pick up a package, if everything is fine, and it's documented in these systems. Then we have a laboratory information system. That means no product can leave our factories before the guys from the laboratory say, yes, it's fine, can go out. You can pick this pill and it's fine. And also we have an enterprise resource planning, also with data inside. So we have more than 6 different systems when I count the machines also and the different deliverers from these machines. We have different information at different times in the process. We start the process and the batch normally needs 4 to 7 hours. We have different data formats, e.g. the date, as an example. Is it a German date? Is one of the products an American one? So we have an American date format, everything inside. And also we have different interfaces. We have very old machines where you have to count each position of each of each number, then you know where it's going to. Next point, we have only one unique key, and that's our special key we need. It's a validation project number, the batch number, and the article number. That's a unique ID we have there, because the batch number is a unique part of it. So, and I told you we are old school, we have no experience with big data. Also, in this process, it's complex. We have more than 6 systems, but it's very less information inside. And also the volume. Sorry, I'm German. We have no high data volumes for it. And everybody said from the department especially, why we don't use a relational database? It's less expensive, it's easy to use, everybody knows it. And we from the IT department, we said, no, we want to learn. We want to learn more about big data, how we can handle it, if it's something we can use in the next year for our production, if we can build their service for our customers maybe. So we start this project, not on a relational database. And we said, no, we take Hadoop for our big data. It's something, when we make an invest, we said, we want to invest in the future. We want to have it in the next years. And when we learn, we don't want to learn each year something new. So we want to learn, hopefully, with something we can use also over the next 5, 6 years. And also one of our decisions was, we don't want to operate it on ourselves. We have not the know-how for it. We have not the people for it. And who from you is from Munich or around Munich? Who has the problem to find IT stuff? Everybody has this problem. So we said it's, and Hermes is not cool. We are, I tell you, old school. We are not a big player in the Munich market. There is Microsoft, there is Amazon, there is BMW, Siemens, whatever it calls. So nobody knows us. And if you come to us, then you see 60,000 square meters of green. We have a big park. We are pharma. But it's not cool for the young people. So we want to use our existing partners and try to find out what they can do for us. And there we find QuinScape, because QuinScape is now more than 1 year, nearly 1.5, I think, partner from us in the enterprise service bus. Every communication between our systems is done by Talent as the enterprise service bus and built by QuinScape. We have the process know-how, and the technical know-how is at QuinScape. We worked also together with the Deutsche Telekom, also traditional old school German company, but they offered a Hadoop cluster as a cloud-based solution. It's the first project for us to go outside. We have our own we have 2 data centers, and everything must be in-house. And this was the first project to say, let's go outside. Also the department say, is this possible to go outside? So it is a really learning process for us. And our partner for the data exchange is QuinScape. And so we decide to make this project with QuinScape together. That's the basics, why I'm here today. old school farmer made IT know-how. So,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hammers. So when you're having such a problem like Mr. Hammers with Hammers Arzneimittel, and you want to establish a central platform for data processing, data integration, then you might start with Hermes with the ESB, or you might start directly with data with enterprise service bus with big data. But anyway, you have lots of data to transfer and to integrate, and you need to have a central platform for that. And I would like to elaborate why companies like Hermes Arzneimittel, like plenty of other big German players, are looking for a central platform for that. That's the data challenge that people are facing. And then, how many of you guys are techies in here? Yeah, lovely, lovely. Love to see that. So I'm giving you a hands-on demo, and so since you have more techies here, I'll try to talk a little bit less and show you a little bit more. So CIOs currently they are facing a challenge, rather huge challenge, because there are so many new requirements they have to face. They have from their lines of businesses, they have high expectations, because there's lots and lots more possible with IT, and so they have this high expectations that they will fulfill everything, right? So they have to tackle high data volumes like Mr. Hammers has with its IoT problems here. We have lots of different data types. We have seen this here as well, right? We have lots of data sources from all these different systems we have in our ecosphere, in our system integration. And and now there are also lots and lots more use cases are possible, like Customer 360 nowadays, or IoT, predictive maintenance, machine learning. There are so many more use cases possible, and that's also the reason why we have more and more users who are interfacing with this data. So actually, their problem gets bigger and bigger, and they have to meet this challenge. Also, CIOs they have more and more tools they can work with. They have unprecedented innovation out there in the field that they can make, that they can apply to their challenges. And good thing, that's a good thing, because we have more things to choose from. But on the other hand, it also means that we have control all this variability in the field. We have to control not just one central database, but we have to control several databases that are specialized for some cases. We have to now manage cloud platform. Like basically, you've been building a hybrid cloud. I mean, that's a buzzword for that. And also, maybe you have seen in a few talks here that also the data window is getting smaller. That means the time from generation of the data to the consumption of the data gets always smaller, because people want to act faster. You want to have business agility that it's connected to your data. And they also have to challenge that. There are lots of technological problems associated with that. And of course, there are lots of new challenges like machine learning and IoT. And all these has to be challenged. And still, CIOs manage to do that. It's something they have been doing all the time. But there is one thing that CIOs they often don't anticipate that, and that there is a constant change in all these fields. So we have a rapid increase of speed of innovation in our field, and we have to have a way to cope with that. And therefore, you might choose to use Apache Flink or whatever, or Beam or whatever, but you can be sure that in some time that will be outdated, and you need to have a strategy to cope with that change. And to give you one example, This is an example from Lenovo, and they have been exactly facing this challenge, and they found a solution to that with Talent. So what you see here is how their business warehouse developed over time, the amount of volume they have been using. It started very small with just 100 megs, and nowadays they're over 1 petabyte of data right now. So why did the volume of data increase? Well, because they had different use cases, right? They started with basic reporting. They then went on to business intelligence. Then they have been doing predictive analytics. Now they're even doing prescriptive analytics, where the system tells the user what might be a clever next step. And therefore, of course, they had more and more users being integrated into this as well, because there are more and more users being able to utilize these use cases. And as you can imagine, from a technological standpoint, they started with a very small database. But then they ended up with a huge system. There has to be some technological change there as well. And just looking into the last 5 years, the amount of data they used started from 300, or 5 years ago it was at 350 gigabytes of data, and now it's 1 petabyte. It's almost 3,000 times as much over just 5 years. And they also had to retool 3 times, from MySQL to Amazon Redshift, and then on to a Spark-based Hadoop distribution. So when they were doing this for the first time, they're moving from MySQL to Redshift, they basically had to rewrite all the ETL stuff. They had to rewrite, had written it by hand, coding by hand, and doing everything in SQL. And now with Redshift, it didn't work anymore, so they had to reprogram everything. It was a huge task. And so the next time when they went to Hadoop, they said, well, let's now do it real with a better way. And they chose Talent, because Talent helps you to migrate then to whatever comes next, so whatever might be after Spark here. Let's take a look why this is possible with Talent. So the Talent Data Fabric is an integrated platform. It's one thing, and you can use that for lots of use cases. And let's take a closer look at what Talent does and how it does it. So at first, some of you might know integration tools, and certainly Talent is very good here because it has lots of components. Right now there are over 900 components within Talent, basically enabling you to read from plenty of data sources and also write to plenty of data sources. Can be databases, can be files, can be business systems like SAP, Salesforce, could also be IoT sources, could be Twitter streams. And same with outputting this data. It could be Hadoop database, Cassandra, could be Spark. Basically, it's a very flexible system because you can just exchange the components there. Then Talent is just is an integrated platform, meaning that there are different flavors of integration. You know, you have real-time integration, you have batch integration, and you have maybe the ESB, like Hermes started with. And then you have big data integration, which works pretty different. And so with Talent, you can cover everything from one tool, and it's one development environment. We will see that in a bit, how that looks like and how it does feel that to work with that. Covered that already. And Talent also generates native code, meaning that depending on what scenario you're coding for, you get to optimal speed. So for example, with ETL, extract, transform, load, it means just generating Java code, which runs on a server. It's easy to monitor, very, very nice. If you want to do ELT, then you're generating SQL code, which is then compiled into something that's specific to this database so that you can use the optimization in a database. And then with big data, you're generating native big data code, be it MapReduce code, Spark, Storm. So it's generated natively, and then it's also run there on the cluster so you get optimal performance. It's not like others do it, that extract, do something, and then push it back on the system. Yeah, and then finally, Talent doesn't care whether you want to work in a cloud or in a hybrid cloud or on-premise. Everything's possible there. If you have such a integrated platform, you also, of course, want to support the whole software development lifecycle, and certainly Talent does that as well. So if you want to collaborate with other developers, with other admins who are monitoring the system, yeah, well, you need to have a tool where to have the support for. It's no good to do mail notifications and dashboards by yourself. You can do that, obviously, but it's not the core of your business. It's just something that you want to use, and therefore Talent allows that. What that allows you as developers and you as managers is that you can focus on what you're good at, and you're getting a faster time to market because you just have to focus on what you're good at. So, and let's see what that means in the big data field, as we're covering this topic here in specific. With big data, it means that whatever will be the next framework after Beam, after Spark, that will be something that's being supported by Talent, and you can just use one click in an integration to change that, because Talent is a model-driven approach. Yeah, you model it with components, you configure the components, but what happens when you deploy it is that it's compiled down to something that's usable for this end platform. You're also, because of that, you're platform independent, because it doesn't matter if you're using Cloudera, Hortonwork, Mapper. Talent just compiles whatever is needed for the platform itself there. Just to pick another one, Talent is really also an unified platform, meaning that you can mix and match the different integration styles. And we will see an example of that in a minute, where we take some ESB code and mix and match some data integration and big data integration in there as well. So, and just as a last theoretical slide, what do others think about that? And well, Talent made it last year, in the end of last year, to be recognized by Forrester and Gartner to be a leader in the field. Basically, the only leader who is based on an open source core. So I think that's quite an achievement, and it's not something that happens overnight, obviously. So enough talk. Let's take a quick look into the demo. I'm running a little bit late, unfortunately, but I will certainly not skip that part, but give you a hopefully good overview of the platform. And I need to switch the representation here. So what we will see in a second here is the Talent Studio. The Talent Studio is your main development environment. There is a server which runs everything on, but here we are focusing on the development part. And this is, some of you might probably recognize it already. It's based on Eclipse, but there are lots of plugins that make it more usable for you guys. And so just to pick a few things here on the right-hand side, you see the palette. The palette is where all your development components are. There are over 900 in there, and you can just drag and drop them onto the design canvas. Here on the left-hand side, you see the repository. The repository is something, well, where you store all your artifacts, your development artifacts, and that's something that you need to collaborate with your coworkers, right? So whenever you make a change, you want to have the others see that as well, and you want to have to enjoy your holidays while the other people at work still keep on maintaining your stuff. And then here in the main part, it looks complex, but it's actually not that complex. It's one of the roots, one of the ESB roots we have been using in this project. ESB, why ESB here on the big data thing? Because Hermes started with the ESB architecture as the central platform. We just integrated big data integration within this ESB root. And so it basically starts with reading from a file system. There is another step before, which I skipped here. But in this case, we're just reading from a file system, putting data into an archive system, and then, depending on the kind of data, keep processing it and prepare it for ingestion into a Hadoop cluster. I just pick one random thing out here. That's this component here. And this component is now not just a simple component that's from the right-hand side palette, but it's a complete another data integration job which we include here. I'll just double-click it and open it. And you see, this is what, make it a little bit larger here. This is what happens here. In here, it just takes the input from the ESB root and then processes it by uploading something on the HDFS, then loading it from there into a Hive database, and then processing it further within the Hive database. A next step then would be obviously to do a preparation for an analytics tool, which I do not cover here. But this is basically the ingestion into the data lake from where further processing is occurring. Yeah, I think this is it. I can show you much more if you catch me later. I'll certainly show you much more. I hope to have given you a small glimpse about how talent looks and feels, and I'll just switch back to the slides and give over to Mr. Hammers again. So, ich muss mal kurz nochmal. So, okay.
So, in all the steps we saw before from Mr. Poecher, you can see here. Here are the systems we work with. There is a talent. The Cloudera is for us, for the data lake, the data mart, because we need, this is StatGraphics. StatGraphics is a tool for the reports we used since several years, and the department is an expert in this tool, and they said, hey, we need something with StatGraphics because we don't want to change this. You know, we are old, we are traditional. But maybe in the next years we have our next steps are to change this, maybe to Jasper, for example. So, for each batch we have now a complete view, the entire production process. So if we have an audit from one of our customers or the government, we can show the reports for it. It's transparent what way the pill, this example, made. It's for us the first step to learn more about big data, and the department needs to be more familiar with big data because they don't know what can we do with this, why we can use it, only why the IT guy tell we have to do big data. That makes no sense. So they have to learn, and they have, hopefully they see the need of it and what use case we can generate with big data then. So it starts really with this year. In the beginning of 27 we have to start, 17 we have to start with this. At the moment we only use 10%, maybe 10%, 5% for the possibilities we have with. The first step is done, and we will create more and more. And who from you knows Pinky and the Brain? Who don't know Pinky and the Brain? Google it, and you never forget Mr. Poecher and me. Decide who is who. Because now it's coming. I have the ideas. He has to find the solutions, hopefully. And Pinky and the Brain is it's a animated television. It's developed in the 1990s from Steven Spielberg. And Google it. So we have more and more systems, and we have more and more communication with the outside Hermes world. And everything will run over talent, and every data we will have will stored in the Hadoop cluster and in the data lake from Cloudera. That's why we can't use StatGraphic at the end, because it's a very limited tool. That's why we think about Jasper. And these are some business case we want to deliver to our customers more and more. We want to check their vendor managed inventory with our data. We want to connect to Google data, to social media data. Then we know when a health flu or whatever is coming. We can check the warehouse from our customers. Predictive maintenance. At the moment, our departments go to the lines and say, oh, each year in November we have to check the machine. If it makes sense or not, it's not a question. It's in the book. And now we want to say, hey, yes, it's not a question, but maybe we can show you points, datas, that you know when the machine needs help, maybe before it needs really help. As predictive maintenance and target marketing, especially for our over-the-counter products, that we know more about our customers and that we can help more and more with more information about them. And everything will be stored in this big data cluster we showed. So now decide who's Pinky and who's a brain.
Might have something to do with the hair that I lost here.
No, the one is tall, the other not.
So I hope you've seen this small use case. Maybe you have seen other use cases here as well. And what I believe is that that if we focus on data nowadays, we're looking at the key competitive difference between companies. Those who can handle data well, they are well prepared for a great future. There are more and more requirements, more and more systems who need to be integrated. And with cloud infrastructures, we can just get systems out of the box from Deutsche Telekom or for someone else. But integration is really a key technological sphere that you really have to understand and really have to master, because that's necessary to orchestrate all these systems. And I hope you also have seen that Talent Data Fabric is one vendor out there who can help you achieve this kind of power to operate with data and to achieve something we call data agility, to be very good and very fast while operating with data. And thank you very much for listening. And
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Frank. Are there any immediate questions for the panel?
Is your platform qualified for GMP, and is it subject to GMP procedures?
Mm-hmm. It will. The StatGraphic tool is GMP qualified, so we don't have to check this. And in one of these next steps, we make a risk-based development of it, and then it's qualified also too.
Just the front end? What about the cluster?
The front end. The cluster is the black box, and the risk-based procedure will means we have to check in data, and we want to have a data. And if we have this data, the thing between is confirmed. Oh, it's enough at the moment. It's a magic black box.
And do you already have an audit from the FDA?
No. But we know other companies that make it in a nearly same way. Data you will have and answers you will see. And if it's confirmed, and then there's a part okay between the black box. That's a risk-based, how do you call it? Ansatz. Approach, sorry, thanks. Great. And with this risk-based approach, we can solve this GMP problem especially.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
In Talent now, in that data fabric, can I create my custom code in some other language than this was Java? I was using Talent Open Studio before, and we can create our Java classes and stuff. Is it allowed, for instance, now if we use the big data ecosystem to do it in Python or some other language? Put it under the Talent deployment and make it live.
in some parts, yeah. So the basic approach is, and maybe we should talk about this later more in detail, but basic approach is that, yes, you can do custom coding. You typically do it in Java. You should do as little custom coding as possible if you want to have your system most maintainable. And yes, in some places you can also do some other languages, but this is then a special thing. Let's talk about this more in detail because time's up now, and I think we'll get spanked if we talk too long.